I am an employee of Uncle Larry's, but this opinion has been one of mine for several years, and at the time I wasn't. I first got interested in this issue of conflict of interest when an employee of Uncle Larry's at the time wrote to the Argosy in response to an article that the Argosy had published on the subject of the boycott that they considered to be very one-sided. And this student, I'm not even sure I was of legal drinking age yet, so I'm not sure how involved with Uncle Larry's I was in general. But this student in particular felt that as Uncle Larry's is a local business that did employ students, that the SAC had taken a very one-sided approach to this, and that both sides had been in the wrong. And overall, I felt that Uncle Larry's really didn't handle this situation well, and they don't handle a lot of situations well. It's not a very well-run organization in itself, which is why the SAC really needs to shore up things on their end to ensure that agreements are legally binding and stated from the get-go. You can't just expect everyone to go along with you all the time. It's just how business works.
And I remember the discussion, and it was a really good discussion in council. Do we want to do this with this businessman in Sackville, right? He basically, for the background on for the people who don't know, basically the SAC entered into an agreement with him. It was an oral agreement, just like they are with most of the organizations who deal with Sackville. And basically, Mr. Hubert screwed us over in the end and said, "You're not getting any of my money." Despite us paying for a DJ to come there for a show. I know I've heard about this happening even with other student groups where he doesn't really, step up to the plate and deliver on the agreements he's had with them. It's a shame that he has to do this. We did take him to court and we did win. So we were in the right in that instance. I think it was important that we let students know that this is perhaps a business person that you want to be wary with before dealing with, because he does have a history that kind of screws over, and he has done it to other student groups, and the courts agreed, and they said you were in the right, he was in the wrong. Basically, we didn't get our money back because he has everything else in somebody else's name, so we kind of ended up biting the bullet on that one. Kind of sucks, but that's the way of business in Sackville. I think having these agreements in paper with him are necessary, but for a lot of the organizations and a lot of business people in Sackville, they're very upstanding. They are willing to deliver on their promises to you, whether it's doing something with Joey's or at George's. So it's good that we still have a positive relationship with most businesses in Sackville. And it is too bad that relationship with Uncle Larry's had to sour in that year.
To your question, I was in my first year, so I kind of heard about the issue, but was not directly involved with it. I think that as an organization which aims to represent the interests of all students, and really as a leader within the community, the SAC should ensure best practices when dealing with businesses. If the SAC was aware, I'm not entirely sure whether they were, I don't want to speak on their behalf, but if the SAC was aware that Monsieur Hubert had perhaps questionable business practices, then I think that the proactive thing to do would have been to ensure that was done in writing. Even if kind of the norm was that oral agreements were suitable, perhaps the SAC should have stepped forward and kind of led the way in making sure that poor status quo wasn't followed. What resulted was, I think, a poor situation. Students did ultimately lose out because of that kind of burning a bridge with a local business, as well as one where students worked. So obviously hindsight is 20/20, and it's something that's easy to speak to now. But I think that one of the most important things is that to ensure our legitimacy as an organization, that we do make sure that we're dealing with things on paper, make sure that we're dealing with them legitimately, and try to prevent anything like this happening in the future.
That I brought this issue up because I think it's one that continues today, and I don't really take a personally blame the current SAC for that issue 3 years ago, but I do blame them for not completely taking care of this problem, because I believe students, at least this year, there's evidence that they've still been entering in agreements that they didn't get on paper, leading to disagreements that no organization should really be doing at any level, especially one with a $450,000 budget that is all of our money. Thank you.